Welcome to the Freeman Report, brought to you by Patriot Shit Outfitters. www.patriotshit.com. Use promo code TFMR 2022 at checkout to get 10% off and help the Freeman Report. And without further ado, we're going to bring on the one, the only, Mr. Jeremy Deeter. Mr. Jeremy Deeter, how are you? How are you this evening?
I am well, sir. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm as good as I'm gonna be for now.
What do you think of the different scenery behind me?
It's a change. It's a change of view.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. A little bit of an upgrade. We've got a couple of articles that we're going to go over tonight. We've probably got this update concerning Michigan. I'm excited to get into it, but we felt it was important to lead up to it and kind of show an entire body of work here until we tell everybody what's gone on in this last article that we're going to share with you guys. So hopefully, as you guys are filing in here, Tracy Sparks, Slider, Joe Axe, if you guys get a chance to do all the bells and whistles and everything for us, we'd appreciate it. The subscribing and liking and sharing and all that, and we'll dilly dally here a few minutes before we get into everything all hot and heavy like.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. It just seems like we have like a good 5 to 6 minutes almost where it's like people are still filing in, people are still doing their thing. So we're just
and I think some of that's complication caused by YouTube. I think YouTube does
I think
lot.
it is too.
Yeah. It'll be
I know
nice.
that it's also by Facebook because the people that are like Tracy, she said she's the first person to comment on Facebook. The people that watch from Facebook seem to always have trouble for some reason.
Yeah.
When it comes to watching from Facebook. See, like it's going down, but it looks like we're getting more people in. So that's the thing that's weird. We never know. To be honest, they could be telling us BS. They could say for every 10 people, they could be saying one person. To be honest, we don't know what they do.
That's absolutely correct. The software that was sold, that was developed after hundreds of millions of dollars, was given to the major tech giants. This was a Silicon Valley goal when the internet was finally thriving. They wanted to see if they could reduce the information flow and control it. This was one of the greater purposes, and restrict information and be able to micromanage, all the way down to private accounts. So this was given to Facebook, YouTube, and then think about the companies that they own, that own them and that they also own when you start to look at Instagram and all these other things. By the way, everybody, we're backed up on Rumble. And Calvin Eli Robinson, I'm glad that you're here. I wanted to officially invite you to be on the show with us and talk about your candidacy here in the state of Ohio, and get into a little bit about your platform and why it is that you're doing what you're doing there. There we go. There's the link for Rumble right there. So it's rumble.com/c/the Freeman Report. So go to the Freeman Report on Rumble, and we back up our videos there. So if people are having problems with Facebook or YouTube, they can go there.
Yeah, and you can watch the whole thing there as a replay. You can't watch it as it's live, but you can watch it as a replay. And I know there's a lot of people that watch it as a replay. I think we're at a good, decent number of people, and we're about 5 minutes. So that's exactly about as long as it takes to get people in.
Excellent.
So I'm gonna bring up this first article, and then we can go into it.
Tony Trapasso, thanks for being here. We're doing great. Joe Axe said he shared us to Abandoned War Room, and appreciate that, Joe. Thank you kindly.
We're doing good, Tony. Thanks for being here. So the first one is Supreme Court sides with FBI in suit over post 9/11 surveillance. Look at who is this? She just looks like a bitch. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, and I try to be Christian, but it's like some of these libs on some of these news shows, because I'm assuming this is a news show or something, and she just looks like somebody that would be unpleasant.
She's got the resting unpleasant face.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I probably shouldn't have came out and said it like I did, but
no,
it is what it is. It's a live show, folks.
Yeah. So this actually ties to Michigan, believe it or not, where the FBI had either profiled or not a bunch of Muslims after 9/11 and said that they were terrorists. And there were lawsuits they initially lost. And the court proceedings and everything went into the favor of all of the Muslim men that they were investigating that the FBI said was a threat to us. The Supreme Court now, this is years later, now sided with the FBI over not having to release the the surveillance methodologies, techniques, or the gathered information. So they're starting to protect some of the different important information surrounding, and this makes sense if they are they're coveting these procedures because they for damn well sure are going to continue to use them. They're not going, and the court even said that it would be harmful to release these techniques and different things like this. So the FBI was able to wield, once again, untold power. And even though they lost after there were the initial arrests and everything, they go to court, they lose famously. And then now, years later, the Supreme Court says, well, we're still going to hide a bunch of the information and how we got it. So this tells you they were found guilty of lying on these Muslim men in a U.S. court of law. And that was what led to them, all their charges being dismissed, was that the FBI had made it up through circumstantial evidence. Tell me when this starts to sound familiar. And now the Supreme Court of the land, which is not a lifetime position, each and every one of them can be removed by Congress immediately, have sided with the FBI on this. Say, even though they lost, even though what they did was illegal, the Supreme Court says, yeah, but still, we're gonna keep this, under lock and key.
Yeah. I mean, and this goes right along with what they've been doing in the court case, in the Michigan case. That's what they've been doing with the J6 defendants. It's what they've been doing since time immemorial, since they began. They hide things and they say, well, if you make us not immune to prosecution, then we're going to have to expose sources and methods, and this could lead to the downfall of the United States. And that's just not true. It's just not true. That's how they always play it. And so we have to see that this national security state, they always, whenever we want to see their records, whenever we want to audit what they've been doing, they constantly use this excuse of sources and methods. We'll be exposing sources and methods if you allow us to be open to prosecution. And then they say that that's a danger to the United States. Well, I think the FBI itself is a danger to the United States, as we see They've been using methods on Muslim people, on patriots. And this is the thing that gets me, is because it only talks about Muslims during this post 9/11 surveillance thing. But I guarantee you there were patriots and other people in on the wanting to be able to view the sources and methods.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if your result was to be a criminal engaged in criminal activity, then it makes all the sense in the world that, through the rights of due process and discovery and everything else, that you would be able to find out how it was that this criminal activity was derived. I mean, that just makes a lot of sense. United States Supreme Court doesn't see it that way. That this would, and it said something along the lines of it would be possibly harmful to national security.
Yeah,
that's what they said.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to read through this, or do you want us to, or have you? I mean, we've covered pretty much all the points that need to be covered on it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought we did pretty good. If you want to read it, you can. I can't see it, so.
I mean, I can. I'll go through it. Let me just see how long it is. Yeah, that's not long. So, the Supreme Court on Friday sided with the U.S. government in a lawsuit brought against the FBI over a controversial post 9/11 surveillance operation that targeted a Muslim community in California. See, this is the thing. They're not actually working on, or they're not exposing the fact that there are lots of patriot communities and lots of patriot organizations that have been unfairly targeted as well. But they only focus on the racial aspect of it, which is the real problem. They only focus on the racial aspect or like the religious aspect. That's not fair. They essentially, it's like, if you're an American standing up for America, you're invisible. They don't care about you. The media doesn't care about you. The government doesn't care about you. The media doesn't care what the government does to you. That's just the way it is. In a unanimous ruling, the court found that the government could respond to the litigation by asserting the state secrets privilege, a legal doctrine allowing government information to be concealed if its disclosure would harm national security. So I want to read that again. In a unanimous ruling, the court found that the government could respond to the litigation by asserting the state secrets privilege, a legal doctrine allowing government information to be concealed if its disclosure would harm national security. And who gets to decide if it would harm national security to disclose it? The FBI does. The decision concerned, and in this case, it's the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court is not actually viewing the documents that they are saying shouldn't be released. So they have no idea whether the documents should be released or not. They're just ruling on the legality of it, which also their ruling is unconstitutional. The decision concerned only the narrow and technical issue of whether the state secrets privilege is available to the government here. The 9-0 decision, penned by Justice Samuel Alito, who has given good and bad decisions in the past, held that the FBI can invoke this legal doctrine as the case proceeds through the lower courts. See, this is BS. What this is federal supremacy in action. This is federal supremacy through judicial deference. Federal supremacy through judicial deference, because the judiciary is essentially deferring to the federal government and saying we are going to give you the benefit of the doubt no matter what. The dispute traces back to 2006 when the FBI launched a 14-month counterterrorism operation aimed at surveilling members of Southern California's Muslim community. The Bureau relied on an informant, Craig Montail, I can't pronounce that last name, Montail, to pose as a Muslim convert. He recorded his conversations at mosques and during other interactions. Midway through the operation, in a twist of irony, Montail began to make provocative statements about jihad that so alarmed his new Muslim acquaintances that they eventually reported him to the FBI. Montail and the FBI later parted ways, and he went public with the details of the operation. The FBI has since confirmed the Montail made secret recordings as part of his undercover work. I guarantee you the FBI are the ones that provoked Montail to do this. In 2011, 3 Muslim men who had been spied on sued the FBI and its agents, alleging that, among other things, they had been illegally targeted because of their religion. In response, the government invoked the state secrets privilege and asked the judge to dismiss the relevant claims because litigating them would require the disclosure of protected information. The court granted the FBI's request, prompting an appeal by plaintiffs. This should infuriate everybody. At this point, this should infuriate everybody. The San Francisco-based U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit reversed the district court's ruling, siding against the FBI and allowing some of the Muslim plaintiffs' claims to proceed. The appeals court ruled that the district court had erred by applying the state secrets privilege rather than using a procedure provided in a provision of the 1970s-era statute called the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. Dude, that infuriated me. Every bit of that infuriated me.
It's evidence to the American people and the world that the federal government does as it sees fit. And the fundamental problem with that is that the federal government is born out of the state government, yet the federal government is wielding power and authority above the state, which makes no sense. You can't rule over your creator. This is actually a maxim of law. This isn't like Jeremy's rules of law. This is actually the rules in the Black's Law Dictionary. When it talks about maxim of law and jurisprudence and everything else, it explains that the founding, the first thing that comes is either more important, typically more important. And that, I don't know if people know this, but our Constitution is written in maxim format that shows the level of importance of the first 5 rights in the First Amendment. And that's why your Second Amendment is your right to bear arms, because otherwise you would be standing there as a deaf mute by yourself, you know, with no ability to speak freely, no ability to assemble. So it made sense through natural rights and natural law. And so defending yourself, being a deaf mute made no sense. And so the state giving birth to the federal government and then the federal government ruling over the state makes no sense and is a violation, and therefore is a violation of the Constitution and our natural rights, and therefore all of us. It's a violation of our rights. The federal government, it's wielding power that it was never given. It does not possess the authority to do the things that it's been doing. And people need to see that.
So essentially it would be a fortiori legal document, meaning it's coming from the stronger. In Latin, that means from the stronger. And so everything is based on the thing before it being stronger than the thing it came from. So if we look at the federal government, it's that kind of arrangement. The states are stronger than the federal government because they entered into a contract together to create the federal government. So any laws by the federal government which infringe on the rights of the states or the people are obviously grounds for the dismissal and disbandment of the federal government. And that's what they try to hide from people by using terminologies that confuse people. They don't know, you know what I mean? A lot of people, like you said, understand. Do you understand? Are you understanding me? Are you underneath me, essentially, is what it's saying. Are you underneath me? Do you observe that you're underneath me and that you're underneath my power? You know, when these things are used in court, they're used in a very meticulous way. They're used in a very purposeful way. So when we speak on the street, when we say, "Hey man, do you understand what I'm saying?" Like, this is not the same thing. They're using terms in a very, very specific way, and we have to understand how they were originally meant to be used. If I'm understanding what you're saying correctly.
You're absolutely correct. I think that this comprehension of our natural rights has now become blatantly and obviously dangerous to people within our country. And it just so happens that these people are sitting in powerful positions, both elected and appointed, but they're not Americans. They are no more than globalists that have no roots, have no allegiance to this land, its form of governance, its financial systems, its judicial systems. They're here to disrupt and destroy. And it's time that people say that. It's time that people recognize the reality that's been put in front of us and deal in that reality that says, the country's systems are perverted from, this Food and Drug Administration that right there, you can tell they have way too much authority. And all of that can be every single one of the federal jobs that you see fail us, that you see has medicine that poisons us, food that poisons us. We can't export any food. I mean, they're not just failing at their jobs, right? This has to be purposeful. This is being purposefully done. That's why Americans are obese and morbidly obese. It's the food. Everybody knows it. Everybody's known it for a long time. And in that vein, Gillis Spirit 2 says the state government is in lockstep with the agenda: CRT, sustainable development, depopulation, eugenics, small arms proliferation, centralized metropolitan apartments, green space, and no-go zones. And I would invite people to look those things up and research them for themselves. Tony Trapasso says they all want the middle class dead. I think there's a lot
exactly
of
right.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's a lot of people that would agree with you, and that it's been shown, obviously it's in the Georgia Guidestones. It's literally written in stone. It's a violation of 10A, says Calvin. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the guy you want running for a seat. He just busts out like it's a violation of 10A. Mastermind says, hey, look, we are spelling. Bring back the organic 13th, says Slider. Tracy says no comprehende. Yeah, I appreciate the engagement. I love the engagement actually in our chat room. So I just wanted to read some of that. But the FBI's outstretched hands, like an octopus, is. And we're going to be able to continuously illustrate this, but the FBI on orders of the DOJ goes everywhere and anywhere. And the Supreme Court is legitimizing their fraud in front of God and the world. They are saying, yeah, you committed a crime, and yeah, we're just going to help you keep this part secret. And
which is not, it's not coincidentally that no one can prove that the FBI committed a crime, because the Supreme Court has said you can cover up this evidence, because it's always the thing that is going to compromise their sources and methods, quote unquote, is always the thing that will make it hardest to, like, if without that information, you cannot make a case against the FBI. So they always make the thing that would make it easiest for you to make a case against them. That's the thing that they block you from being able to see. So it's implemented in an arbitrary manner. So, they can say anything, sources and methods. They could say literally anything, sources and methods, as long as they, as long as they say that, they can cover their ass for anything.
So they go into a house of worship and use National Security Agency equipment and spy gear that they use to plant around churches and mosques around the nation. And they do this and collect an enormous amount of intel. And, well, they don't have to disclose that now. They don't have to tell that they put wireless National Security Agency grade, meaning this is used in espionage in Russia, Israel, Dubai, everywhere, China, everywhere, and they're using that same equipment and the same methodologies on religious establishments everywhere, and they don't have to be held to account for that. You don't, again, I mean, this is use of the Patriot Act and the National Defense Authorization Act being used right in front of you, right in front of all of us in real time, showing that they wrote those laws with every intention to use them. They do not care that those are blatant violations of your Constitution. They couldn't care less. And if you needed more proof other than them showing you right in front of you to your face and people publicizing the articles, then I don't know what a person would need, what more they would need at that point. Because you're looking at a situation of cognitive dissonance I don't believe you can be helped with.
Yeah.
That's something people would have to get over themselves. A big part of the way that Thomas and I speak is to see what you're seeing, recognize that you're at war, whether you not, and I don't mean Ukraine, Russia type stuff, which you are. Ukraine openly
It's fifth
flying
generational
their
warfare.
flags next to ours, and they're thanking us for the weapons and everything that they were able to arm their citizens with, that your Democrat Party applauded like, somebody had just brought in wheelbarrows full of dead babies. They were excited, and they got to a point where, they had to shut up because they were being called out, by even their own party. Like, let me get this straight. You're all about militia, but not in your own country.
Well, and that's very explainable. So the Democrats understand. So if you look at the stuff that's been coming out in even the mainstream media now, it's all been the pro 2A narrative is even seeping into the mainstream media. If you look, you can find a bunch of Democrats that have been fact checked on their anti 2A talking points. This is specifically because of people like me and other 2A advocates changing the narrative. But the one reason that the Democrats cannot switch from the anti-gun narrative is because of who donates to them. Their biggest money donors say, you have to be anti-gun. We don't care what else you do, but you have to be anti-gun. You cannot dance with anybody else. You cannot. Essentially, they're saying you can't dance with any other girl. You have to be anti-gun. We don't care. We don't care if you're fine with this or fine with these other issues. The only thing we care about is guns. And if you're not anti-gun, you're not going to get this $1 million. You're not going to get this $100,000. You're not going to get this $50,000. So even if they know that, even if the Democrats know 100% that they're going to lose on that talking point, they will still spout it because they need the money for their campaign and to fill their greedy pockets.
And that's what's called playing ball right there. It doesn't matter what you campaigned on, you're in the seat, you're there, and there are numerous groups looking to own you if they don't already, and if they didn't already help you to help finance your campaign and all of that, which is pretty common. But I mean, that's American politics now. So I've asked a lot of crowds this, and I've asked outside of the State House numerous times. When it comes down to it, what would you rather have? The people who are there now, or the moms and the dads, no matter whatever age or color or whatever. If they're Americans, and they give a crap about this country, do you want the people who are there now running those seats, running those offices, or do you want the people who are suffering the 9-to-5s, the moms and dads who know what it is to work for a living, know what it is to struggle for a living, So, I was looking at Therapy Range's comment there.
Well, I want to give a shout out to Therapy Range. He's been doing a great job. I actually binge watched all of his videos, which is uncommon for me. So he's doing a good job on Therapy Range. Check him out. He's blowing stuff up. He's shooting bottles of glue. I mean, it's amazing. It's awesome. I watched it, and I literally watched like 10 of his videos all in a row. Great content. He also supports us through patriotshit.com, Patriot Shit Outfitters. So show him some love. Go over to his channel, subscribe, check it out. He's an awesome dude. He's a really good dude.
We're already we're already a half hour through, and we're only wanting to go an hour, so we should try to hit the other article.
All right, let's bring that up. Yeah, we are kind of getting behind here.
Sorry to cut you off. I just noticed
it. No, we got to get this done. So Naboo, and I don't want anybody to think that this is a new article. This is an older article from 2016. But so this was signed in June-ish 2016. And this is saying that the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, which has an office for the FBI inside of it. So there's an FBI office in Ukraine, inside of the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, and they signed a memorandum of understanding with the FBI. So what this means is during the PP dossier, Naboo was one of the biggest entities that helped compile this fake dossier and helped surveil the campaign of an American president. And they were doing it with the help of the FBI. And this proves it. They have an open arrangement to share intelligence. And that's what the memorandum of understanding is. They admit that they have a FBI office in their building in Ukraine. They were literally, the DNC was, and the establishment essentially were using Ukraine as an intelligence satellite to spy on candidates. This is indisputable fact. And you can see that not just that, but they also, they literally got Paul Manafort taken off the campaign and also got him put in prison via a third-party satellite nation using American resources to surveil candidates in America from a foreign country. They have troll farms, all this stuff in the FBI or in Ukraine working with the FBI. We're literally our resources for the FBI are literally helping foreign nations to hurt us. And that's what I really want to bring up, because this establishes a pattern for what we are seeing today with the targeting of patriots, and also this whole hubbub in Ukraine. What was going on in Ukraine was illegal. The FBI knew it was illegal. They participated in it, even though they knew it was illegal. And yet anything from that point on, what do you okay, so first let's ask this question. If the FBI helped a foreign nation spy on an American candidate, what is that called? Can we all call that? What is that called? There's a certain name for this kind of thing. Helping a foreign nation spy on an American candidate, there is a very specific term for this. And it starts with a T and ends with an N. And so we have to come to so anything beyond that point, this is proof. This is them saying they're doing it. This is them saying they're sharing intelligence. So that means that anything they were doing to study international crimes, including spying on Donald Trump, was with the help of Ukraine. They're admitting they did this. So they're admitting they committed treason. They're admitting that they committed treason.
Yep. Okay, so to keep perspective here, which you guys know I like to do, I want you to go back to Al Capone, all right? The FBI was put together to take out the untouchables. Then the FBI became the untouchables. Where in their purview is it to be placed around the world? When there were attacks in Tunisia, the FBI, I'm not kidding, was called in to investigate in Tunisia, right? Now we see there's these offices in Ukraine, and if there's an FBI office in Ukraine, you can I believe, naturally assume that there's a larger stake of interest. And this starts to speak to the effect of biolabs and other assets being located in Ukraine. Then you start to look into Burisma and the Biden family and their dealings with what has been known, worldwide as one of the most corrupt governments in the world. And they just announced the other day that they are and always have been in tow with the New World Order and the Democrat parties around the world, the liberal parties around the world. So their agenda is out. It's in your face. They're loud and proud. They're no longer hiding anything. You no longer have to be somebody wearing a tinfoil hat. You can just show people their words, and it's right in front of you. However, the larger problem is that what in the hell is the FBI doing around the world? This is a United States federal law enforcement. This whole global thing that they have going on this has to stop. This has to stop. This is ridiculous. If there is a wanted criminal in, say, Tunisia, right? We don't have to have an office set up there. That we shouldn't have an office set up there. We shouldn't be there. We should call them and say, hey, we're going to send our U.S. Marshals. They're going to work with your law enforcement, and they're going to go ahead and take, this person out of there that's either an American or one of your people that has violated our law or international law via our shores. And, then this is why you have treaties with countries and things like this. And England, obviously, big ally of ours, but they didn't allow us to extradite one of their citizens into our country to go to court for hacking some of our computers because he was looking for aliens, proof of aliens. True story. And he actually found a little bit of proof, but he was hacking like some of our most sensitive stuff. And I guess he has maybe Asperger's or something. And, Britain was like, dude, we're not going to send him, and it didn't start a war between us. Our people were like, fine, whatever. And, the dude's out walking free right now. They don't believe in our justice system. They don't believe that it was fit for that guy. And they were probably right. So the FBI being around the world, going from Al Capone, basically a special form of law enforcement that was designed to go after Italian mobsters, now has offices all around the world. This is ridiculous. This has to stop. No wonder they call us the Great Satan. We're literally everywhere. We're literally everywhere, polluting everybody's country with our control. These people need to be just as free, in my opinion, as Americans. Now, if they're not free, if they live in Saudi Arabia, well, I mean, you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know what's like there. I have no idea. I know you get your head chopped off. If it's Tuesday and you said something wrong, you know what I mean? Like, oh, chopped off your head. Like they kill people there in public, right outside of Wally World, or World, whatever it is. So you got to figure, we're looking at a situation where in America, we don't have a law enforcement that is trustworthy in their capacity. Now they're also overextended, and we're footing the bill for all of that. We're footing the bill. All of it. All of it is funded by you. Every single time you pay a tax on something, and imagine how much wealth we would have if we reined this power back and was able to say, no, we're not doing this. We're not a global force for good. All right. We need to look at America. We need to pay attention to America. Why are we trying to rule the world? It's going to make everybody mad. They're going to have every reason to be angry with us. This is stupid and it needs to stop. I don't know. What do you guys think? Thomas?
My thing is that this is a domestic agency. The FBI is a domestic agency. They have no business being anywhere but inside the United States border. Yet we see them working outside the border, and that's not treason per se. But if they're working with foreign intelligence agencies. Ukraine is not a NATO member, so they're not even in an alliance with NATO, yet we have an FBI office in Ukraine, and they've been working through Ukraine to lambast American candidates and say, oh, they're all pro-Trump, or they're all pro-Russia, 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 pro-Russia. But all of it's coming from shills for the DNC and the establishment that are coming through Naboo. If anybody looks into look into Bill Browder. One is one of the things you should look at Bill Browder, because, or there's a movie called The Magnitsky Act. Look into that. Look into Bill Browder. That's a whole different story that if we went down that rabbit hole, it would be a long, long freaking broadcast. But Sergei Lushenko worked in Naboo, and he also worked in the Ukrainian parliament. He was one of the people that worked with Cody Shearer. Cody Shearer is the son-in-law of Strobe Talbot. Strobe Talbot is a good friend and was a Rhodes Scholar with Bill Clinton. So Cody Shearer worked with Sergei Lushenko and Naboo to create the PP dossier, to essentially smear an American candidate for a certain political party. That's treason all across the board. All across the board. And it ended up in the hands of Christopher Steele, who was directly paid by the Hillary Clinton campaign to get this stuff. So this is the thing that they're scared of. If Donald Trump gets back in office and he can work with Ukraine, they know that all those files are going to be exposed. My big thing is, it seems like they're trying to burn all these files before anybody can get to them, before anybody knows the depth of their treachery. And so the FBI is a big part of this. So we look at what they're doing to J6ers. We're looking at the Michigan case. We have a long, long, long pattern of abuse and criminality from the FBI. That's the basis that we're trying to establish, is that regardless of what the FBI wants to say, they have a long history of criminality. And not only do they have a long history of criminality, but they have a long history of the courts siding with their criminality. So essentially being able to rig the game so nobody can expose them. They never have to be accountable. They never have to pay the price. They can do whatever they want. That's my thing, is establishing the criminality and showing people that the FBI, if they committed treason when this memorandum was signed, because they ended up spying on an American candidate, if this is treason, then anything after it would be considered null and void. Anything after this that the FBI did would be considered null and void, including the Michigan case. So that means that these guys are being kidnapped and held against their will unlawfully. They're being unlawfully, detained, because Absolutely. Anything the FBI does past this point is treason.
Yeah, no, I mean, they have acted in bad faith. They have lost their standing. They have shown and proven their criminality. And time and time again, they showed on an international level where they shouldn't be in the first damn place. And they show it on a national level, state by state here in the U.S. And, exemplifying this and showing this, and with last week's very good definition of jury nullification to this week, where in 1 week we're able to show you rights that most people don't know about, that they disdain both in the federal and state courts, that you can see this is a ploy on all sides, on both sides, to make sure that, a right of yours is stifled and taken away through lack of knowledge. Well, that's not just the beginning or end of their criminality. It's in the international, it's with the courts, the Supreme Court, and here with what we're about to show you.
And I just want to make this statement before we get into this article. It's not about Vladimir Putin. Nobody supports Vladimir Putin. We're not against Russia. We're not against Ukraine. We're not for Russia. We're not for Ukraine. We're just calling out the facts and the details of what happened against and what was criminal against Americans, because we're Americans. America first always. There is no point in time where you're going to find me siding with anybody but America for Americans, not the political class of America, but the actual Americans that are on the ground daily, working their asses off, getting screwed by the FBI when they stand up, getting smacked down by the man. That's who we stand with. It doesn't have to. Who cares about Vladimir Putin or Ukraine? Nobody cares. The thing is, we have proof of criminality by the FBI in foreign nations. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, let me reiterate that when it comes to Russia and Ukraine, it's not our business, and we want our business to be here at home where it should be. That's what we're stressing. That getting caught up in their propaganda to feel another way about another war. Man, look, I'm war weary. I've been watching this since I was a kid. Most of you don't know this, but I was 11 years old, holding hands with 100 strangers in a ring of people, where we were saluting the flag and the whole bit and singing songs, patriotic songs. I grew up that way, and I'm weary. I'm done, and I want our nation to deal with our nation, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, with us minding our own business and cleaning up our own backyard.
And I think so. Do you want me to read this article real quick? And then you can go into it, because I know that you've read it and you have a very good take on this, and I think you should kind of take the lead on this one.
Yeah, go ahead. Please read it. Yeah.
All right, I'll read it, and then you can kind of take it from there. So, the key legal issues in the Whitmer kidnapping plot trial. Grand Rapids by Ken Kolker, March 2nd, 2022. Grand Rapids, Michigan. The trial begins March 8th in U.S. District Court in Grand Rapids for 4 of the 6 men charged federally with plotting to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer in 2020. 2 of the men have already pleaded guilty. Here are key issues raised ahead of the trial, which is expected to last at least 4 weeks. Entrapment. The 4 remaining federal defendants, Adam Fox, Barry Croft Jr., Daniel Harris, and Brandon Caserta, claim the FBI and its informants entrapped them into committing a crime they wouldn't have otherwise committed. Defense attorneys say informants planned and ran militia meetings and training exercises and led the trip to conduct surveillance on the governor's cottage near Elk Rapids. They say their clients were nothing but big talkers, and that some even spoke against kidnapping. No snatch and grab. I swear to expletive God, suspect Daniel Harris was recorded saying at one point. But the feds dispute that. Point recordings like this of alleged conspiracy co-leader Adam Fox. I want to have the governor hogtied laid out on a table while we all pose around like we just made the world's biggest goddamn drug bust, bro. Which, I mean, dude, this is fantasy world. I'm sorry, I don't want to get distracted here. And in January, U.S. District Judge Robert J. Yonker denied a defense request to dismiss the case based on entrapment. The judge wrote that the key question to answer is whether law enforcement planted a criminal design in the mind of an otherwise law-abiding citizen, or whether the government merely provided an opportunity to commit a crime to one who was already predisposed to do so. Having reviewed the record in this case so far, the court finds that it is neither undisputed nor patently clear that defendants were not predisposed to commit the crimes charged. The judge ruled at this pretrial stage, the court concludes that the defense has not demonstrated as a matter of law the defendants' wills were overcome by the actions of the government. He ruled the jury should decide. Questions raised about lead FBI agents. The U.S. Attorney's Office says it won't call as witnesses the 3 FBI special agents who have been publicly identified in the case. Robert J. Trask, who was fired by the FBI last year after he was convicted of assaulting his wife. He also made anti-Trump social media posts. Jason Chambers, after reports he had formed a security company on the side that could benefit from his work on the kidnapping plot case. And Henrik and Paula, after what the feds say were unsubstantiated allegations that he committed perjury in an unrelated case. Both Chambers and Impala worked closely with informants in the case, records show. The feds plan to call 2 other FBI agents, identified as Red and Mark, but have asked the judge to allow them to testify using fake names. Both worked undercover. Red was introduced to the group as an explosives expert to divert the suspects from their efforts to recruit independent bomb makers. Well, Mark joined the group, posing as a like-minded militia enthusiast from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, the feds say in court documents. The U.S. Attorney's Office wrote that both agents are currently involved in undercover anti-terrorism investigations unrelated to this case. They asked that they testify under assumed names to protect those investigations and for their own safety. If not, the feds say it is reasonable to assume the associates of suspect Barry Croft will attend the trial and will take down and disseminate the true identities of the UCE undercover witnesses. That's so bullshit. They're literally talking about the Freeman report. The Fed claimed that associates of Croft have offered a cash bounty for this. Has never happened. Who the fuck knows where this came from? The feds claim that associates of Croft have offered a cash bounty for the identity of informants and have publicly called for violent retaliation against the FBI. This never happened. We've literally said multiple. Not going to get distracted. Defense attorneys argue it's just infuriating, man. Defense attorneys argue that allowing them to testify using pseudonyms would suggest to jurors that the defendants are so dangerous that even FBI agents are afraid of them. Use of informants. Defense attorneys say that two informants, Big Dan and Steve, were the true leaders of the conspiracy. The FBI paid Big Dan $54,000 and paid Steve, later identified as Stephen Robeson, more than $19,000. They were among a dozen informants who worked the case, defense attorneys say. Big Dan is expected to be a key government witness. Defense attorneys plan to call Robeson as a defense witness. They had asked the judge to give him immunity. The feds say Robeson would still face criminal charges after the FBI said he became a double agent and tried to help the suspects. The judge denied the immunity request, which is actually the first unbiased thing that judge has done as far as I've seen. Dude, it's all yours, man. Just reading that was infuriating enough.
You did well. You did a good job, man. You kept it together. Yeah, we got 9 minutes left, so I won't take up all the time. Let me get to the crux of the article for everybody. The FBI just said in this article and have said in the prior articles, he is possibly facing other charges for being a double agent. You were just told in this article that the defense will be calling him up. That makes him, in my opinion, an incredibly important person, because if Steve Robeson tells the truth, and here's the thing, this is our part in this, right? If Steve Robeson tells the truth, the case is over. That's my belief, because he'll just say, this is what happened. This is what the FBI was having me do. Everything's done. It's dismissed. It's over. But the FBI is warning him. This is my opinion, and tell me what you guys think in the chat. But if you testify for the defense in this case, then you're going to face charges. And to me, that's what that looks like.
Yeah.
So our part in this is that we have to pray that, and I just got another article just now that I haven't seen before. Something about the FBI leaking evidence in this case. So I'll have to check that out, and I'll put that on my Facebook, and I'll send that to you too, Thomas.
Okay.
But we know that in the past, Steve has had a spirit to be deceptive. And we have to pray that when it comes to this, that he has a spirit of honesty, and that he wants to have a spirit of honesty. And that's what we have to pray for. That's our job. We know, we've seen, the damage this guy can cause. But now I feel like, and I may be wrong, I'm not a lawyer, but and I'm probably wrong now that I think about it, just because of the way this whole case has gone. You know what I mean? Where it just doesn't, this case has made no sense. It doesn't make sense to me anyway. But, I might be wrong, but I feel like that's a huge deal. That's a big deal if he tells the truth.
Yeah.
So I just think we have to pray for that.
Yeah, I think we should pray for him, and we have no ill will towards anybody. I think that
No.
I always, and this is something that I've lived by, and I know that Jeremy lives by about the same thing, is that God, everything comes out in the wash, and God deals with everything. And it says in the Bible, vengeance is the Lord's; it's not ours. We have no want for vengeance, but what we want here in this case is justice. And if justice is served, we want to be able to say that everybody who's a guilty party in the government gets their time in court. If they did something wrong, they should have to pay for it. And this is no threat, because this is the thing that irritates me is they constantly say we're scared of these guys. Oh, they're threatening us. We have never made a threat, and we have even reached out to those who have pled guilty and said we are willing to stand with you, and we understand the hard place that you have been put in, and if we can help you, we'll try to do it. We've always been the better men. We have always been good men, and there's no way that we would ever target somebody, when they're with their family or anything like that. We don't want anything like that. We don't want violence. We would never target these people. We would never attack these people. We never harm these people. We would never pay somebody to harm these people. We want nothing but good for every citizen of the United States. That's our thing. We're patriots. We want this United States to be healed, and we don't want violence against anybody. What we want is we want justice. And if the justice system works, it means that the justice is applied equally. And that if there are FBI and CHS informants that have done wrong, then they need to face a courtroom themselves and get fair and equal justice under the law. Because we have guys that have been falsely imprisoned, that have been for 2 years without bond. Their families have been harmed. I mean, it can't be where the FBI just says, oops, our bad. No, we can't just accept that. We want justice. We do not want violence. We do not want revenge. We want justice. And we will work, however hard it is, we will work day and night to make sure that through the court systems, we are able to hold each and every FBI agent and each and every FBI informant that did something wrong accountable. If you didn't do anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about, because we're going through the legal processes.
And let me say this too. If you're in the patriot community and you did something wrong, you need to be held accountable. There, we don't want people in the patriot movement that are doing like illegal things. We don't want criminals in the patriot movement, and for them to paint us as if we're just some kind of, just to say that the FBI would be presented like the FBI was scared of us and that we're some other agency. Just all of this ridiculousness that everybody can see right through. I'm 125 pounds. I love Pop-Tarts. I like cereal. I love to play Xbox or PlayStation. As far as like terrorism goes, I'm probably horrible at it. Probably horrible. I don't even know how to do that. And I'm not a soldier, and I've never been a soldier. I'm a regular dude, and they are painting myself and all of us as something that everybody knows that we're not. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. That's what I am. That's who I am. I'm an American. I'm part of this. I'm part of this nation, this land. My family's been here since the 1620s. And this nation and its land and its people, it means something to us. When you've seen the Patriot events nationwide, you see that we're not the ones that are picking fights like Antifa and BLM. It's because we do have a fight, and it's a major fight. And in our fight, we have to stand, we have to speak, we have to do these things when it's not popular. We have to organize events. We have to, try to get people aware of what's happening. And it's not easy. It's not an easy sell to tell Americans who are already uncomfortable, hey, the news is even worse than what you thought. This isn't an envied position to be in. And it isn't anything that we wanted either. But you see the bombastic and outlandish nature by which they describe regular people as to sell a ridiculous agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, it is as real as we have presented to you. And if you don't think that's the case, look at the articles for yourselves. I'm sure that they're in the chat room. Look at them, read them. You know, you're reading what you're reading. You're seeing what you're seeing. And right now you're hearing what you're hearing.
And I want
That
to say,
you've
I
been
want to
betrayed.
reiterate that we do, for all the bad things that we have, that Roby has done and we have exposed on this channel, every man is, it's not our place to judge a person or tell them they are irredeemable. God, that's God's place. That's not our place.
Yep.
And I think this is an opportunity for Stephen Roby to redeem himself and redeem some of the bad shit he's done, because he knows he's done bad shit. We've seen that he's done bad shit. We've looked at his record, and it's also the things that he did in deceiving the Patriot community, in coming into our houses and praying with us, and then with all the intentions in the world to set us up for something that we weren't going to do. But yet we still have no ill will or any violent intentions for the man. We hope that he can do something that helps his country and speaks the truth. And you know, the biggest thing that we're worried about is for his safety from other people who don't want to be exposed, like the FBI. You know, the FBI is the only party in this whole thing. The thing is, Jeremy and I live in fear of the FBI doing something to us. That's what it is. We literally we have changed our ways of doing things because we're scared that the FBI is going to come after us and try to do something to us unwarrantedly, because we're exposing what they're doing. And we have seen that they are not past hurting people, like physically hurting people outside of the law. We have seen the FBI act belligerently in several occasions. And maybe I worded that wrong, but you know, they have. This is what they've done. We have no ill will towards anybody. All we want is the truth to come out. And we pray for Stephen Roby's good health and for the good health of everybody involved with this case, so that guilty or innocent, they may come to justice, may come to each and every person. If they're innocent, then that they be found innocent, and that if they're guilty, they have to pay for what they've done. We need to hold our government responsible, personally responsible for the things that it does. And if the FBI cannot be held responsible, then it definitely cannot be trusted as a domestic policing force, let alone an international one.
Yep. Well said. Well said. And you know, again, we want to reiterate that, you know, we are not these lunatic banshees that are out to harm people. And it doesn't matter who you are. You could be the confidential human source, Stephen Roby. You could be the FBI agent, you know, Richard Trask. You could be, I mean, you could be one of the guys that's testifying against the Patriots, and or just, you know, whoever. I mean, whoever, you know, and that isn't even the way that we operate. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not like we've been Patriots a long time. And if that was how we operated, you would have seen that. You would have, you know what I mean? Like, that would have already happened. You know, if you say that this happened in June 6th of 2020 and it's now 2022 and none of us have done any of these things that you accuse us of doing or way of being, then you probably lied, you know, and you keep doubling down. You keep saying even more. This article literally said that we were the Patriots anyway. Somebody was putting out bounties for FBI agents or people who were testifying or something like that. And
we ain't got no money. First off, I know I ain't got no money.
Yeah, no, I mean, money is definitely an issue. And then, like, think about this. Like, it's just the craziest of claims. This is how, you know, when they can take a complete and total fabrication, there's not even a resonance of truth. There's like nothing that they pulled from to say, like, we can deduce from this, we can pull from this to, insinuate or infer or imply that this has happened. Nothing. There is nothing. This is the first. And I don't know about you guys in the chat. I don't know about you, Thomas. This is the first that I've heard of it. This is the first that I've ever heard about bounties on people. Have you heard anything?
Nothing. Absolutely zero.
See, They're just flat making it up. I mean, again, as this case goes on, and we bring related information about the FBI showing this criminal nature, and then we bring it back to this case specifically, and we see that there is no moral compass. There are no boundaries. There's nothing that's too egregious, from killing you if you're Casey, Massey, or Lavoy Finicum, to ruining people's lives, to having the IRS charge Michael McDonald, to going up into Tracy Sparks's house and taking her property like some goon squad mafia, like we're like some modern version of cavemen where they can just come in, take your stuff, never give it back, and do whatever they want with it. What is that?
Yeah.
Anyway, I know we've gone over our time.
Yeah, we've gone over it, and it's fine. It's fine to go over an hour. Just there's a sweet spot, and it's usually between an hour and a half. And I don't want to go over too much more. But I think that I think we've said everything we've got to say. I've never ever heard of any kind of bounties. Like, dude, we don't even have money to we have money just to get by at this point. So yeah. I don't know I don't know if they're, because the only people that I know that have been outspoken about this case is you and me.
Yeah.
So I don't know who else they would be talking about. That's the thing. But if they're trying to do, maybe there's somebody else out there, but I've definitely not heard of him or ever talked to him.
I've heard mentions. I've heard mentions in broadcasts, but it was very topical. You know what I mean? To reiterate a larger point. So it was, and what about Michigan? And what about January 6th? And, I've heard it like that. I've read it in articles. I don't know about any constant coverage. It probably doesn't exist. But if it does, I'd love to hear it and I'd love to see it. And, again, I want to reiterate, man, like if patriots were doing wrong, those people should be held accountable just as much as FBI agents. Just, we're praying for honesty. We're praying for softened hearts, God's control, and honest, true nature to be in that courtroom. That the truth comes out, man. And listen, there are things that the guys said, that you're gonna find, like, whoa, man, like, damn, that's really controversial for him to say. But when that the context of it is that these are a bunch of guys by themselves sitting there bullshitting, laughing and joking, and even say, in the hypothetical, what do you, in our conversation, we even talked about, in the hypothetical, what do you think Antifa or BLM can do or will do, and how do we respond to that, as well as hypotheticals of things that we would want to do, which is where you get Adam Fox saying, I'd like to have Gretchen out on a evidence table, which I don't have any problem with that. People may not like that, but there's no problem with saying, like, this is the evidence of the crime, to say, like, here it is, like it's a bunch of drugs on a table, same thing. For me, that actually made sense. I realized that it hit
made sense as a metaphor. It made sense.
I realized it hit people in a different way, that it seemed more grotesque. But for me, it made sense that, she was the evidence of the crime. And that was what they had been saying, was that she was wielding unconstitutional power. And they were right. By Michigan's Supreme Court, they were right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, that's what we got to say. I think we've covered what we needed to say, and that's that we are not asking for anything but justice, and we stand for a country. We stand for the country that we were promised, the Constitution that we were promised, the Bill of Rights that we were promised, not some pseudo constitution that's changed so that it's all rigged in their favor. We're sick of dealing with that. And we've done everything we possibly can in peaceful means, and we continue to be peaceful. And the thing is, every time we are accused of doing things that we don't and never have done.
Yeah,
And we're sick of it. We're sick of it. And hopefully we can get a day in court to hold the people that have been saying these things accountable, well, in civil court, and also the people that have entrapped people illegally.
Oh shit. We've lost Tomas in the middle of his sentence. Not cool. Oh, and he's back.
Accidentally. That was my fault. We want to
Okay.
see, we want to just, what we're saying is we want to see these people in court. We want to see justice done. And what we're doing is peacefully working for the Patriot agenda and to restore the Constitution in America. We're not looking for any kind of violence. We're not looking for anything like that. But we will fight in every legal means that is given to us.
Yeah, I mean, the exercising is and exhausting every and all peaceful means helps us to build intellect, helps us to build standing, and well done, Patriot movement. You've rocked it out in the cities, in the big cities, in the little cities. You've waved the flags, you've done the speeches, you've bought the paraphernalia. You've been amazing. You've stood your ground. You've held the line. And now we've got truck drivers heading to take the beltway of DC. We've motivated one another and we've been effective. This would reiterate our point real quick. Obviously, I haven't vetted this. This just came in Messenger. Did you see this? The Supreme Court passed an incredibly important ruling yesterday allowing the CIA to maintain their policy of torturing people at black sites and explicitly stopping their contractors from revealing information in international criminal trials relating to U.S. torture programs. Again, the whole of the government fails to protect people, rather it enslaves them.
And that's what it comes to. I mean, these people are committing very dangerous crimes, whether it's the FBI, whether it's the CIA. The people we have to be afraid of are those people because they have the law on their side. They have judges saying that they can cover up, as long as they say it's sources and methods, they can cover up their crimes. Like, what are we supposed to do? Now they're saying that it's okay to torture people at black sites. What? I mean, how long is it going to be until an American citizen is taken to a black site and tortured? How long? Or has it happened already?
I was going to say, talk to Susan Lindauer. It's exactly what they did.
And so how long we can't put up with this? And they're calling us the ones. They're calling us the ones that are violent when they literally have legally approved violence. They are able to use legally approved violence against anyone and anything that stands in their way. And that is not what America's about.
And let me talk about the obvious reasons, right? We've stated our claim that we are peaceful, which is reiterated by years of peaceful work, rally, and events and things. So let me state the obvious reasons as to why they would do this. It's because they need us gone. It's because they need you gone. All of you that would watch this and feel, think, and believe in the ways that we do, just in the general ways of patriotism and about our nation, they need us gone. You see them taking away your nation at neckbreak speed. You see them taking away your rights. You see them doing whatever they want, from stealing elections to being the typical Democrat that starts a war, which is nothing more than an actual globalist. You're also seeing your nation wake up at neckbreak speed. You're seeing people of all ages, all shades of human, coming to the realization that, this is bad and it needs to be stopped. This isn't left or right, that this is government. This is government versus people. And it's that way because that's the way they made it, not because the way we wanted it. That they know we're not violent. You guys know that we're not violent, but they have to paint us with all of those brushes, those wide brush strokes of racism and lunacy, because if they don't, then, their narrative falls apart immediately and they're not able to be as effective in taking us out of our homes and away from our families. They're not as effective when they kill us and assassinate us, unless they assassinate our characters first. It's for the obvious reasons that you would think we're at war and they have to take out the patriots. They have to take out the people that'll stand against them. And they'll paint us in those wide brush strokes because they have to, because they're scared of us. They know that if they don't do the name calling and the character assassinations, they lose, and they lose quickly. If you're going to tell anybody anything, tell them to stop. stop believing anything that they're told from anything that is mass media, and to only critically think for themselves. Tell them not to even believe you or me. Tell them to believe their gut when their gut says that something's wrong, and there are people that have been paying attention longer than them, and we're willing to help. We're willing for them to give them a soft place to land, that they feel the exact same sense of urgency that you and I feel. And standing against this, speaking against this, doing all of this exhausting of peaceful means reiterates our point that we are good men and women, people that have been taken advantage of. And we're finding ways for that to no longer be the case.
Yeah.
So I think it's important.
I agree. I think that's a good note to end on. Is we've tried it. We've tried it all, and we're following through with the peaceful methods and means. I want to say thank you to Jeremy for being here. I want to say thank you to everybody that stopped in to watch. We're going to be ending this broadcast. God bless you guys. We appreciate you and love you, and love seeing you guys come back. God bless. God bless America. Have a good night, everybody.